Or is it helping homeless and that stuff?
Fuck. Anybody on there?
Yeah.
Sorry, I am so sorry. There are a couple areas, so please, folks, bear with me if my stream goes out. There are a couple areas that we are going to drive and it may go out, but please come back. I'll tell you when I quit. So I want you to look right here. I want you to look up there and see. That's where they're living. I don't see anybody up there right now, but I know where they hang out, so. And that's the thing, guys. It may seem like, oh, this is going to be a boring stream. You know, if it's boring to you, I'm sorry. But we've got to look at these places and see if we can find the people. It's so hot today. We got cold bottled water for them. I'm going to talk to one once we get downtown tonight and see if they'll do a per se interview with me, so you guys can interact and see how many people we got on there.
3.
All right. Let's see what we got. It's at a stop sign, so let me see. Garner, what's going on? Hey, Sean. All right. Hello, everybody who's coming in. Sorry, there are a few places that my stream is going to break up because we are going in trenches and driving. But hang out with me because when we get to Homeless Row tonight, it's going to be something like you've never seen before. It's going to be, man, I guarantee I'll get emotional and cry. And I see it every day. I do something every day. I don't see any of the homeless down here. Okay. Well, let's go ahead down the Homeless Row then. All right, folks, again, if you've seen my streams, typically we go straight to a huge area of homeless and pass out sandwiches, and it takes us 5 minutes and we get rid of 50 sandwiches. But tonight we're, man, I don't want to sound rude or crude, but it's called homeless hunting, where basically we're trying to find the homeless. So my daughter's holding the phone, but you can ask any questions. I believe my wife's in the stream. You know, she can answer it, but my daughter will, you know, read to me your questions while we drive. The drive's about 6 minutes, so hang out with me. Here, show them under here. Hopefully you can see it. I'll go real slow. But you can see where they're living, and unfortunately they weren't there. But there's about 7 of them. They sleep up there. I know them pretty well because I travel this road a lot. And I always stop and give them some. Actually, I gave them a whole $30 ham last month. So, all right. So go ahead and ask any questions, and I'll ramble on as I always do. But let me tell you how I got the passion for homeless. I remember walking in Cincinnati one day, and I remember people basically laughing at homeless and being mean to the homeless. And then I started watching these churches. And I started watching these churches give stuff to the homeless. And the homeless would line up, and they would give food, and it would be like a military line where you just stand in line, get your food, and you go. And I thought to myself, man, who's getting it wrong here? You know, what are we doing wrong? And I started thinking, I was like, I bet there's more than food and clothes that they need. So I decided to take October, my birthday month, and it just hit me, and I actually went and slept on the streets. And I lived there, and I thought, oh my God, there's so much more. And then all of a sudden it was like, I have an epiphany. It's not food and clothes that they need. It's not feminine products, but that helps. It's not toiletries, but that helps. It's respect. That's what they don't get. They do not get respect whatsoever. And that ticks me off more than you'll ever know. welcome to Cincinnati Idiotic Driving, by the way. The first 6 minutes of this cast, I should have named Road Rage, but I won't. Hey, the guy in front of me's got road rage too. All right. He's a Florida Gators fan, so that's not good. Anyhow, we're in Cincinnati for those who just joined us. We are about 3 minutes from downtown. There is a Reds game tonight. Okay, now that's important. Important for two reasons. One, I hate the Reds. I live in Cincinnati. Probably because I'm a Cub fan. But the reason it's important is because when there is a Reds game, more homeless will crawl out of the woodworks. Because it's a better opportunity to get some money. Now, there are homeless laws in every state in America. There are laws for the homeless. I don't know all the states, but I do know Ohio. Here's some of the laws that you probably did not know that will actually shock you as well. One, you have to be certified to be homeless. You can't just go to free food stores and free food banks and free clothing and shelters and all this stuff where the help is and say you're homeless. You actually have to have a certificate that makes you homeless. Now, in order to get that certificate, you have to prove that you're homeless for 48 hours. Number two, you have to have your ID card or a social security card or something. So, that's a way for you guys to help the homeless if you wanted to find a different way. Talk to people if they have troubles getting their IDs. See if you can be of assistance. See if you could give them a printout of how to get your ID for them to take to the local library or explain, anything, something like that. We can be of assistance. I did printouts before talking about how you get your ID and gave them to homeless. The other law, you cannot lay down during the daytime. Now, we're going to see a lot who are. That's just because the police aren't around. But in Cincinnati, for sure, in the city limits, you cannot lay down when the sun's out. So imagine this, guys. Imagine you're sick. Imagine you don't feel good. We lay down all day and we take that for granted. These homeless people, even if they're in a shelter, they're kicked out of that shelter during the day. Shelters aren't 24/7 places for you to live. Shelters are a place for you to sleep, period. Now, another thing that may shock you. Homeless shelters cost money. $18 a week to stay at one. Now, I know $18 a week doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm telling you, when people panhandle, I watched a young lady. Her name was Sarah. Amazing girl. We helped her out a lot. Like, my family pretty much adopted her. We got her a tent. We got them anything they needed. She had a really nice, her grandfather was a pastor, but wouldn't let him live with her. Anyhow, but he did let her sleep out back of his church. Go figure. And so we got her a really nice setup. We got a beautiful 3-bedroom tent for her. We did their laundry for them. I mean, we did all that. Now, Sarah was younger, so when she'd sit on the corner, everybody would ask her, for sexual favors, like she was a prostitute. But she would never sell herself because she had too much pride for herself, she said. But I saw Sarah one day where she stood in the same corner for 8 hours of a very busy walking area to get money. And she made $4. And that was a good day. So, man, I'll tell you what, I gave a homeless guy a $20 bill and you would have thought that I gave him the world. But I'll tell you a story as we're pulling into downtown. The night that I slept on the street, I have this little magic trick that I do for kids. Just a little paper trick. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, so I saw this little kid, a homeless little kid and his family. I got talking to him, and at this point, I looked like I was homeless because I was sleeping on the streets as well. But the little boy came to me and he said, "Hey, Magic Man, do you have any kids?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's your name, buddy?" He said, "Cody." I said, "No, my son's name's Cody." "How old are you?" He goes, 7. said, wow, my son's 7. That is so weird. He said to me then, he goes, can Cody come play with me? And I said, yeah, I'll have to bring him to come play with you sometime. Then he said these words I'll never forget the rest of my life. He said, do you guys live under a bridge? Or do you live in a parking lot like us? The kid didn't understand that I lived in a home. He's never seen a house. His mom and dad walk him up to the corner, and he gets on the school bus. And he uses what's known as a homeless address. A homeless address is somebody who wants to be a jerk and sells crazy things to homeless. A homeless man makes $5, so he sells them their address. Or a homeless man needs a phone number for a resume, so he makes them pay or whatever he feels he can do. And they use this homeless address so they can go to school. So there's a lot more to the homeless game as well. There's people out here who are pregnant and homeless. And they'll pay somebody, I don't know if there's a term for them or what it is, but these people will take money from the homeless or sexual favors or what have you. I don't know what their gist is. And they'll say, hey, after you have that baby, I'll come to the hospital with a car seat and we'll act like you're going home with me. Then that baby ends up on the street. Now, one way my wife and I have stopped that as much as we can, if we know that the people are going to be homeless and are not going to try to do any better, then what we will do is we will contact the hospital and we will